and editors in the India Today newsroom. I'm Shiv Arur. I'm joined by my colleagues Preeti Chaudhary, Gaurav Sawant and Akshita Nandagopal. More people will be joining in, and if you haven't guessed already, the big story of the week is the Farmer Andolan 2.0. As we bring you this show live, the protest is on day 4. It's a big protest, hundreds of tractors. There have been violent incidents in some places as well, but talks are on between the government and the farmers. The reason why this story is so big, you don't need to be told that, is because the elections are only a few weeks away and the country already saw a year-long farmer agitation just a couple of years ago. The demand is for a legally guaranteed minimum support price for crops. And I'm going to start with Preeti. This is an issue that's already become contentious. The technicalities of what is on has also been suffused with a great deal of politics, machinations, conspiracy theories about what this is really all about. Preeti, you first.
You know, the way I look at it, Shiv, the fact is the story's become big, like you pointed out, not primarily because elections are around the corner. The story had become very big the last time around, and there were no elections around the corner at that point of time. Why, amongst the protests that were accepted by the government, was to set up a committee on MSP now and follow it through. Now, since then, what do the farmers say? That committee is not set. Now, is MSP feasible? There are multiple opinions on that, including multiple reports with the Niti Aayog, which argue both points, whether it's feasible, not feasible. The debate, what I feel personally, is got little to do whether MSP is feasible. What it has everything to do is farmers in this country cannot be stalled to protest. It's a fundamental right where protest comes into question. Not just that you are actually laying out concrete barricades, you are putting nails on the road, you are, you're doing what you can from this mass
to stop the protest.
To stop the protest. But the sheer fact that on farmers, you are using tear gas, which is being dropped by drones, which is practically what Israel does. You are using lathis. You are using the full force of the state in terms of water cannons. You're using rubber bullets. You know, why would you use rubber bullets against farmers? Now, there will be a thought which will say, oh, see what happened last time, around 26 January with what happened with the Red Fort.
Yeah.
Now, were farmers allowed to enter at that point of time? No. The whole face-off ensued for over a year. So you didn't allow it then. You're not allowing right now. What did the High Court, which is the Punjab, Haryana High Court, say? That whatever that the demands might be, you cannot stop protest.
Okay.
And for me, this is curbing fundamental rights. I just want to add one more point, Akshita. And that point comes from the fact of, you know, I do feel that there are so many ecosystems in place, and there is one which will now label them Khalistanis, but I think the new toolkit is anarchists. And now, along with that, now there are videos of farmers who are coming out. Now there is one of the farmers who's one of the big leaders who's actually negotiating across the table, who's come out and said that Modi ka graph बढ़ रहा है, उसको कम करना चाहिए. Now, you know, everybody's politicized it. The fact is, these set of farmers, for them, they feel that the Prime Minister or this government isn't listening to them, right? That they are, whether their demands are fair, unfair, whether their demands are fair, unfair, let the jury decide that, right?
Okay.
But that this government is not listening to them. It is an election year.
Okay.
This protest, no, let me finish. This protest is, is taking place during an election year. He has every right to
protest before
say,
elections for leverage is a normal thing.
He has every right to say, because he doesn't agree with the government, that the Prime Minister needs to go.
So then the question is, who's politicized it? You're saying it's been politicized by someone else. It's by the farmer leader himself, and he says Modi's graph should be cut down. That is politicizing it. If you're sticking to a farmer's cause, why does it matter if Modi's graph is coming up or down?
Because a farmer is, other than a farmer, also a voter. This particular voter doesn't like the policies. Let me finish. Doesn't like the policies of this government.
Is he protesting as a voter, or is he protesting as a farmer? He's protesting as a farmer for his rights. Is he protesting against the Modi government, or is he protesting for his rights? If the Congress was in power, and the same issue was there, would he not be protesting?
Guys, let's do this one at a time.
Circling right back. He feels, as a voter and as a farmer, election year, that maybe not this government, the next government will listen to him.
Are you telling me that if the Congress was in power and this was a scenario where the MSP law wasn't there, he'd be okay with it?
What? No,
because
I'm not
as a
saying
voter,
that.
you know, he's not supporting it.
You are saying that. That's the problem with ecosystems.
I'm asking you.
That's the problem with ecosystems.
I'm asking you.
Of course not. He would have said the same thing. Okay, if he would have stood up and said that at that point of time, Manmohan Singh ka graph बढ़ रहा है. इसको क्योंकि इसको हटाना चाहिए.
Gaurav,
that would mean he doesn't agree with Manmohan Singh's policy.
Exactly.
Let me just separate the two strands.
Manmohan Singh is not the prime
Because
minister.
he is politically inclined also. There will be questions about
Everyone
that.
is
We can't
politically
deny it.
inclined, yeah.
We can't
Everyone is
deny it.
politically
But
inclined.
he's also then, there will be questions about whether that's the reason he's protesting. And secondly, the issue that Preeti raised about, the right to protest. I very much agree that in a democracy, they have the right to, say what they have to. They have a right to hit the streets. They have a right to protest. But what about the right of also every person in the National Capital Region who was struggling to commute as a result of this protest? If you didn't barricade it, you'd have them out on the streets. People are struggling as a result of this protest. We've seen it in the last 4 days.
So
May I answer that?
Yeah, there are two things. I'll come to both these things because we're going to expand on them. There are basically two things that are up for debate. One of them, of course, is the demands of the farmers
I
themselves.
actually don't think MSP is fair. I don't think it's feasible.
And the second thing, of course, is whether this clampdown against the farmers and their right to protest is the right way to go. Both these things are actually running parallel. But Gaurav, how would you respond to what Preeti says? She says there's a new toolkit in town to paint them as anarchists this time. Answer what Preeti has said.
So farmers have a right to protest, but their protest cannot be more important than others who are trying to live their life and earn an honest day's living. Farmers are important, so is every other segment of our society. Farmers are not extra special. They have the same rights as every other one, and others pay taxes. Farmers do not pay taxes. That's point one. Point two, who are these farmers? These are these rich landlords who've milked a system, they've exploited a system, and it's led to a collapse of a system on MSP, especially MSP on certain agricultural products. It's counterproductive. All experts have said that, and yet they protest. But be that as it may, if a farmer has a right to protest, I have a right to get to office on time. The industrialist has a right to get to his industry on time. He produces something that fails. Does the industrialist get minimum support price? He does not. Any other business happens, if his business doesn't work, do they get minimum support price? They do not. Then why is it that if it happens only for farmers? Yes, industrialists or big industries get a bailout from the government. All of this needs to be talked out, discussed, without creating, your rights end where my nose begins. And with these hundreds of tractors, the manner in which they came on Republic Day, what happened at Red Fort, clearly there is a precedent. And frankly, you have your right to do what you want in your designated area. Okay. Please protest, but don't stop my life.
The Haryana government, in its affidavit, has also said clearly, in court, this is an affidavit submitted in court where they've said that there are farmers with weapons who are intending to get out of the National Parliament. That doesn't sound peaceful.
Okay, yeah, Preeti.
But the Haryana government has also been taken apart by the same High Court that you quoted.
Sure, but you're saying you don't agree.
It can't be based on nothing.
Instead of an argument, may I just circle back to the points that Gaurav and both Akshita made. Number one, what is it that the farmers want? What is it that they wanted? Did they want it to come and disrupt your life or try and put a finger on Gaurav's nose? No. What did the farmers want? They wanted to march. They asked for permission for Ram Leela Maidan. Were they given permission for Ram Leela Maidan? No. I'll hark you back, Shiv. You and I have reported morning to night at the India Against Corruption when Anna Hazare was given permission by the then government. I'm not saying this government is better than that government. All I'm just saying is we're given permission
the UPA
and they squatted,
whatever
it is. They squatted for a month, over a month. At the Ram Leela Maidan, they were allowed to protest. Protest is a fundamental right. These farmers have asked for the Ram Leela Maidan to protest. Leave alone access to the Ram Leela Maidan, they were not even allowed to enter Delhi. They were not looking to make life difficult for
Is it about intentions? Is it about intentions?
No, how can you preempt? I just want to finish. I didn't interrupt you.
If the MSP demand is so
I don't,
ridiculous.
You can't preempt intention, right? The last time around, for practically a year, all of us called, not all of us, many of us called these farmers Khalistanis, right? Anarchists, Khalistanis. Ultimately, whatever went down, the Prime Minister said कि हमको समझाने से, and which was a very right thing to say, कि हमको, the laws might be good, पर हमको किसानों को समझाने में थोड़ी चूक रह गई. That's why those laws were taken out. That's why all of these reassurances were given. Now I'll just come back to the point that I was making. What did they ask for? They asked access. They asked access to the Ram Leela Maidan. They were not given it. They were not looking to make...
Perhaps it's because of what happened on Republic Day.
Yeah, but why did Republic Day also happen? Perhaps for a year you didn't allow them access to Ram Leela Maidan. So let's look at it in totality. Number two, which the other, and you know, the right to protest, again, I will say is a fundamental right. History stands testimony. Occupying public spaces is how people have protested in this country.
But surely intention also
you
matters.
can't preempt intention.
You
can't preempt. You can't use rubber bullets.
You can preempt
you cannot use rubber bullets and preempt intention.
So let me explain to you. No, let me explain to you. One second.
Not the rubber bullets or the tear gas thrown.
One second.
The other point of God.
I'm saying you can't.
Can we
just take the other point?
No, just quickly. Maybe I just make one issue. I'll just make one point.
I'll just make one
Let
point.
Preeti answer that last point on Gaurav and then Akshita and Gaurav. Yeah.
Gaurav made a point that these are rich farmers coming in their SUVs. Gaurav, I want to ask you, how many days have you spent in this protest to know they are rich farmers? Most of them don't even have their land. They are in for the labor laws because they don't even have their land to till and cultivate. So to say that these are a bunch of rich farmers asking for something, no, that's not true. Get down to it. There was a reason why after a year the government had to take back those 3 laws, because it's not just about a clutch of rich farmers from one state. So let's stop painting them that.
No, but government climbed down also because of political compulsions. I mean, we all know
What were the political
how
compulsions
it
then?
actually, the UP election was staring them in the face. I mean, let's call a spade as far as political leverage and compulsions are concerned.
Half the times what was happening in that protest site was not even reported. People were being cut. There was an instance where farmers used weapons, or whoever used weapons, and cut a man to size. I'm sorry, a man was killed. There were multiple other
Gaurav, I want to ask you, how many farmers died in that protest? Do you know, I have a number. I have a number. How many farmers died in that protest?
700. It was about 700.
How many? Yeah, now
let me just...
people, let
me speak now. Let me make one point, okay? Which is that, you know, you mentioned about giving them the right to protest. You know, the wrestlers were protesting in Jantar Mantar. They were given that permission by the government. In this case, and I was anchoring last Sunday, this was before the protest began, 3 days before the protest began, where there was talk and clear intel notes that suggested that these were farmers who were planning to come in the thousands and march towards Ramlila Maidan. I mean, come on, imagine the mess you would have in Delhi. We already saw it play out.
No, one second.
If they were allowed to march all the way.
By the way, okay, now am I allowed?
May I complete my point? May I complete my point?
You guys complete.
Children are having their board examination. So for one section of society, you want to destroy future of the future generation of Bharat, where children will not be allowed to take their board examination because of these traffic jams.
Even now, from Delhi, you can't go Punjab, Haryana because there are cement barricades across.
Okay, guys. Okay, Preeti, yeah.
Okay, let me just say, okay, there's no intel report that suggested that they were looking to march to Ramlila Maidan. They asked for permission. They wanted to come to Ramlila Maidan.
I'm talking about the intel note that suggested thousands of them are walking together from each part.
So that's what they wanted to do.
So
they wanted to protest at Ramlila Maidan. You didn't need intel for that. They said it.
Yeah, won't that create a problem? Will it not?
If you give them Ramlila Maidan, it would not. Okay, Akshita, did you cover the unmarked?
How will they get to Ramlila Maidan?
Am I allowed to talk?
How will they get to Ramlila Maidan? They had tractors ready, yes.
Now, one second.
They wanted to take tractors all the way through Delhi into Ramlila Maidan.
If you had given them permission, possibly they would not have.
They would still do the same thing.
Yeah, am I allowed to just talk without being heckled?
Okay. No, come on, guys. Nobody's heckling anyone here. Yes.
That's all I'm saying.
There's a little bit of a crosstalk. I will control all my friends. Don't worry. Yeah, Preeti.
No,
I'm fine.
Nobody was saying that they were not. Would they have gotten tractors if they were allowed to work? When did the tractors come in? Because once already the cement columns, the nails on the road were already put.
No, quite the opposite
am I
again.
just allowed to finish?
No, because that was wrong, Preeti.
Speak.
That's not true.
Speak.
That's not true.
Speak.
The barricades were put up after the tractors came and started lining up on the roads. Again, I saw that on Sunday.
That's not true.
I saw the footage. I can show it to you.
Arey Baba, it doesn't take a day to put the tractors. The tractors, their march happened on the 13th.
I'm telling you, on Sunday they
4
were lining
days
up on the streets and that's when the barricades were put up.
4 days ago.
No, it was put up on Sunday. Again.
Oh Lord,
much before the protest.
If you're telling me that, 1 second, may I just, I'm like,
Okay. 30 seconds to Preeti,
number one, if the tractors came in first, then there would have been no column because they would have gone through. So the tractors came in later, the cement columns were already there, the nails on the road were already there. Number two, let me now come back to the demand of the MSP. Why is it everybody saying this is political? What did the farmers do? The farmers waited for the last day of the parliament, the session to get over. Because what was promised, let's circle all the way back to the farm protest, what was promised that a committee will put forth a report.
Did the farmers join that committee?
Man, am I allowed
to talk? Were they invited to join that
committee? They were not invited.
Were they to
They were not invited. You want to go back to it? We can go back to it. But let me just come back to this.
We've
right?
got 5 more minutes, guys.
All right, let me just come back to this. So what happened was that the report was never, the committee was never formed, nothing came out of it. The farmers, as per them, right, said that we gave time for the government till the final day of parliament of this term. It's not a session, it's a term. The government's going into elections. Once again, I will come back to it. Do I individually, like most people, feel that the demand of MSP is feasible? No. But do I feel that the farmers in this country or any group that could be Akshita, Gaurav, have an equal right to protest freely, fairly? Yes. And definitely not be faced with rubber bullets and water cannons and tear gas shells. I rest my case.
A right to peaceful protest. A right to peaceful protest.
Did you give them a chance?
Don't
Did you give them a chance?
Don't interrupt me. We're apparently not having a conversation but a one-way dialogue, so let's have it that way. Okay? So let's be very clear here. This was not a question of a peaceful protest, was it? When you have suggestions that, these were people who are armed, we've seen what happened in the Red Fort. How can we allow that to happen again? My only grasp with what's happened today and in the last 4 days is the fact that this government has sent out a message to these farmers that till you protest, you won't get what you want, which is what happened in 2020. And that's why the farmers are out today. You've given them the platform to come out and say that, look, if we protest, if we put pressure, we'll get what we want. Which is the unfortunate bit. And this kind of protest, what does it do to all of us? We're struggling every single day to get to our work. Imagine the hundreds and thousands and lakhs of people who are stuck right now, can't move beyond Delhi into Punjab or Haryana over the weekend or any other time.
Closing comments from all of three of you. Gaurav, go for it.
So my point is, the fact remains MSP is not feasible. Punjab has suffered and Punjab has been suffering for decades, and yet it's the Punjab farmers who are actually spearheading this. Point one. Point two, be that as it may, yes, it's political, yes, it's being done with elections in mind, even if it is to bring down Modi's graph, well, that is for the government to tackle politically. But as a citizen of this country, I have a major problem, because if I have trouble, or hundreds and thousands like me have trouble getting to our workplaces or our work, or our life is impacted, we'd rather that whatever protests are happening happen at a designated place where you protest, let media cover it, let whoever wants to cover it, let whatever happen, but life of others must not be impacted. It takes everyone to run this country, not just annadatas.
So we know that right now the government and the farm leaders have engaged in at least 3 rounds of talks so far. We'll end this with, we've gone on a back and forth over the intent, the politics, the manner in which the government has dealt with it.
I didn't give a closing. Am I allowed to close? Am I allowed to give my closing?
I was going to come to you based on that.
Okay.
Yes,
Sorry,
go ahead.
Yeah. I do feel that as citizens who don't want their life interrupted, as a citizen, I don't want to speak from acute privilege like most of us do, because of course we have kids who need to go to school, we have other stuff that we need to do. Protest at a designated site, allow them passage. Allow them, don't preempt what they're going to do, which you did the last time around.
And
don't do that.
No anarchy on streets of India.
Again, but the fact is, there is such a well-modulated ecosystem with its set of toolkits who will convince all of us that these are anarchists, that all they want is politics. That's not true. Even this government admitted the last time around that whatever it might be, how well-meaning those 3 farm laws were, they just were unable to convince the farmers. That's it.
But there was no toolkit when Mia Khalifa and Rihanna were tweeting about farmers. That was not a toolkit. Mia Khalifa and Rihanna are absolute agriculture experts in our country.
No, and I don't think it's a privileged,
but fine. Okay,
I don't think we're sitting on a high horse when we say that we need to be able to go out and earn our living.
You guys
and be able to go out and earn a salary. As simple as that. If I'm struggling in a traffic jam, so is the person who's not able to afford a car.
And Mia Khalifa and Rihanna are absolute agriculture experts. That is not a toolkit. That is not a toolkit.
Stuck in a car on a jam, try and make this argument for a man who doesn't even have 2 course meals a day to feed his children.
Try to make the argument also to a man who's cycling on the roads.
Okay, I'm going to...
and unable to get a single meal a day because farmers are protesting and he's unable to earn his daily bread.
The Democratic Newsroom episode has to end here only for want of time, but this is a window into how vibrant all of our conversations are here in India's only democratic newsroom. Remember, that story is not over, and the next week we will bring you the next big story. Thanks as always for watching. To the Point with Preeti comes up next.
मेरी मिलिए मामे खान से साहित्य आज तक कोलकाता में लाइव। फ्री एंट्री के लिए अभी रजिस्टर करें www.aajtak.in/साहित्य पर या मिस्ड कॉल दीजिए 9310330033 पर।
शिकवे इतने हैं कि किताब लिख दूं, सब्र इतना है कि एक अल्फाज भी ना कहूं। एक बार फिर वो वक्त आ चुका है जब मिलना है हमें और आपको। साहित्य के सितारों का महाकुंभ अब होने जा रहा है सिटी ऑफ जॉय कोलकाता में। डेट नोट कीजिए फटाफट।
17 और 18 फरवरी स्वभूमि द हेरिटेज प्लाजा कोलकाता। फ्री एंट्री के लिए अभी रजिस्टर करें www.aajtak.in/साहित्य पर या मिस्ड कॉल दीजिए 9310330033 पर। Get ready for an immersive journey into the heart of news, politics, and insights that matter. Join India Today now on WhatsApp. Scan the QR code.
विकास के नाम पर पूरे देश को अदानी जी को दिया जा रहा है। हम लोग इस बात को भली तो मतलब वो एयरपोर्ट दे रहे हैं, पोर्ट दे रहे हैं, सारा का सारा उसको दे रहे हैं। तो सबसे पहले ये समझना है कि जब हम विकास शब्द का प्रयोग करते हैं तो हम किसकी बात कर रहे हैं? हम किसान की बात कर रहे हैं, मजदूर की बात कर रहे हैं, बेरोजगार युवाओं की बात कर रहे हैं, या फिर हम अदानी की बात कर रहे हैं, अंबानी की बात कर रहे हैं, 2-3% लोगों की बात कर रहे हैं? तो ये तो सबसे पहला सवाल है। मुझे लगता है आज जिस चीज को सरकार विकास कहती है वो विकास नहीं है, वो चोरी है।
बेकसूर किसानों पे बीजेपी की, केंद्र सरकार की या हरियाणा सरकार की पुलिस गोलियां, लाठी, आंसू गैस के गोले छोड़ रही है पंजाब की टेरिटरी में। तो अगर वो कोई जख्मी हो जाता है तो उनकी मदद करनी चाहिए कि नहीं करनी चाहिए? किसी भी किसान भाई को कोई खरोंच भी आएगी तो हमारे हेल्थ मिनिस्टर से लेके नीचे तक का सारा पैराफर्नेलिया हेल्थ डिपार्टमेंट का उनकी सेवा में लगा हुआ है और लगा रहेगा जब तक बीजेपी की हरियाणा सरकार उन पे अत्याचार करने से रुक नहीं जाती।
बड़ी अफसोस की बात है कि किस तरीके से मोदी सरकार किसानों के साथ व्यवहार कर रही है। ऊपर से आंसू गैस, ड्रोन के माध्यम से आंसू गैस फेंका जा रहा है, कील लगाए गए हैं। ऐसा लग रहा है कि आप जंग में हैं किसानों के साथ और किसान संगठनों के साथ, और दिल्ली में अंदर आने से उनको रोका गया है। तो ये बड़ी अफसोस की बात है। और मैं बार कहता हूँ, मोदी सरकार की विशेषता ये है, चंदादाताओं को सम्मान और अन्नदाताओं का अपमान।
If the BJP gets 350 seats and the opposition gets 100, does the BJP get 3 times more money or not?
Yes. Yes. That's right. And rightly so. Because they've got more seats. And then nobody can be targeted. I'm giving you a solution. You want a solution? I'm giving you a solution. But the problem is you don't want that solution. You want to enrich yourself. And that's the problem. And remember, I mean, may I just say this to you, because you are an entity, you're a channel which is funded ultimately by entities, and you know industry is in control of these channels. So what happens is the corporate sector funds the BJP, the BJP returns that funds in some way through form of advertisements to the very channel which has funded the BJP. So you remember this. This is a very serious issue, and let's not make a mockery and make an argument that no, this will increase use of cash, as if there is no cash happening. Incidentally, I want to ask you, this has nothing to do with cash. This is white funding, and let them show that they used it in the election. They'll never be able to show it.
Mr. Sibal,
it has nothing to do with the election. Please, first you clarify to me that assumption.
Okay. Mr. Sibal, you've said that there is a scam here. There will be corporates who will say, look, when the electoral bond scheme was devised by your friend, the late Arun Jaitley, it was devised to try and bring transparency or encourage corporates to give money. No, just a minute. To give money by check. It was designed to encourage corporates to give money by check. As it turned out, the system was opaque and led perhaps to many of us to believe that it was heavily biased in favor of the government. Now the scheme is being scrapped. In your view, Mr. Sibal, I wanted to know specifically what, according to you, is the scam involved?
The scam is complete, and I'll tell you why. When amendments were carried out in the Companies Act, prior to this, before the amendments took place, the law was that any company which is making a profit can contribute up to 7.5% of its average profit in the last 3 years to the political party.
मोदी दा ग्राफ बहुत मंदर दे करके ऊपर चढ़ गया। वो नुकसान वो इहदा ग्राफ डाउन किवें आ सकदा है?
A shocking viral video of the most prominent face of the farm stir against popularity of Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Jagjit Dallewal, the chief of BKU Ekta, the steering force behind the agitation, expressing his worry over rising popularity of Prime Minister Narendra Modi, especially after Ram Mandir Pran Pratishtha. In the video, Dallewal is heard promising to cut Modi down to size, adding that the farm stir presents a golden opportunity to cut Modi's soaring graph. The video was picked up by top advisor to government Kanchan Gupta and prominent BJP leaders, who called the stir a political conspiracy against jealous opponent of the Prime Minister, timed with upcoming elections. The Congress, which has backed the farm stir, however, denied any political affiliations to the protesters. The farm stir is officially aimed at ensuring fair MSP law and benefits for farmers. But in reality, is it just another Modi Hatao Andolan? Bureau Report, India Today.
Good evening, viewers. You're watching To The Point. I'm Preeti Chaudhary. In Sandesh Khali, West Bengal, some very grave accusations of sexual abuse have come to the fore. But all of that has been nicely masked with a fair amount of politics on both sides of the divide. The unrest in the region of West Bengal continues now as protesters, with a notable presence of women, continued to demand the arrest of TMC's Shah Jahan Sheikh and his associates. The TMC turns around and says that these are all BJP supporters. In midst of this chaos, a fact-finding team was stopped by the police midway. A petition was also filed in Supreme Court demanding a special probe into the case of violence in Sandesh Khali.
Unprecedented scenes from Rampur near Sandesh Khali.
हाथ जोड़ रहे हैं, हम उन महिलाओं को न्याय देने दीजिए। ये लगता है कि उन महिलाओं के साथ अत्याचार होने में कहीं आप लोग यहाँ की लोकल पुलिस भी मिली हुई तो नहीं है, कि लोकल पुलिस भी कहीं वहाँ की मिली हुई तो नहीं है।
बिल्कुल, हम लोग जाना चाहते हैं, आप जाने दो। पुलिस को तो स्वतः ले जाना चाहिए। आपको तो आपके प्रोटेक्शन में चलेंगे। अगर सजग होती तो शायद ये ना होता, आज ये स्थिति उसकी ना होती। अगर इतना ही सजग होकर वहाँ पे प्रहरी के रूप में आप काम करती।
6-member BJP fact-finding committee stopped from going to Sandeshwar